Real Housewives of Potomac. Oh, well, I'm a lot shorter than you. Hey, baby. Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 4, Episode 2, Here Comes the Bride. So, what are you thinking? This is the first time with these ladies this season. What are you thinking overall?
Well, she's not a bridezilla, but her mom is.
Yeah, right? So, this is my thing. We're on a reality show. And this is the same thing that's happening on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which I'm not watching because of this, which is, instead of the story being about the story, it's about talking about the story. Like, we're watching a reality show, and these women have all decided no one can talk about anything that happens. You're speaking out of turn. And it's like, well...
You're on flipping TV, being
You're
recorded.
on TV. We're all discussing it. So I kind of don't get this whole, like, the Sherman and Giselle story seems to be just that... Monique? Why does that not sound right all of a sudden? Talked about the fact that he was cheating on Giselle with, it sounds like, a prostitute. However you feel about sex work, whatever, he cheated on her and was arrested for it and was doing it in the park. So this was hardly like a
Keep it quiet, nobody knows.
Right, and so now it's all, now I get it, you're upset, but now it's like this like, oh, well, you can't talk about me. Well, then don't be on a reality show, first off. Secondly, Giselle, of all people, who went and put supposedly one of her best friends, like free, what do they call him, Big Papa? I don't know. On the back of her shirt as a joke, but all of a sudden now, two people can't talk about stuff. So I get that it's embarrassing, but on the other hand, I'm like, of all the people on the show, you're the last one who should be talking about how people talk about others. When she talks about her best friend or one of her closest friends or someone that she loves so much, she's just a shady snake.
It's not like her husband was with the hoe.
Right. Well, not her husband, her boyfriend. Oh. He's clearly not that into her. So somehow leaking the story is bigger than the actual story. And then Candace is ongoing. We didn't mention this last week too much, but Candace, wants to invite, so this is the timeline on it. Her mother and her father were together, and then he cheated on his mother with someone, it sounds like in college, and got her pregnant. And then him and the mom and dad got back together, subsequently got married, had Candace. Sometime after that, got divorced. Candace's mom remarried, and she was raised by her mom and her stepdad, but she had a relationship with her dad. So I don't get why, in the grand scheme of things, it's a bigger deal that she invites her half-brother. It's so embarrassing. She married the man after he had a baby. This is not like this thing that she just found out last year that he's had two families the whole time. I don't really get it. First of all. Secondly, the way she speaks to Candace, oh, well, you have daddy issues. I thought we were at a point in society, especially as a therapist, where you can acknowledge that the child having a relationship with both parents is important if they're healthy relationships. If they're not, if the father is toxic or abusive, or the mother is toxic or abusive, and you cut that relationship for those reasons, but that regardless of the relationship between the parents, the relationship between the child and the parent. I mean, isn't this, I'm not some genius, this is like basic therapy that they should be able to have a relationship, especially with a child who had no part in it.
You are some.
Like you can hear our son being like, where'd everybody go? I want a party. So anyway, so she starts going, oh, I know you have daddy issues. So her father, her stepfather, and her mother all walk her down the aisle. And I'm not going to say how ridiculous that looks because I understand it's symbolic about trying to make sure that she, a lot of times weddings are less about what looks good and a lot more about making sure everybody is involved. And it can be this whole big, if we ever had to get married again for some reason,
elope.
We would elope. If I had to go back in time, as much as I loved my wedding and I'm so happy and thankful for all the people who showed up, I could not do it again. Next time, we're taking the money and eloping. I don't know on what universe that's going to happen. There's some sort of weird time thing. So anyway, so then Giselle and Sherman stands her up. Somehow it ends up being Monique's fault. I don't know. Because he doesn't want to deal with all these people. No. He doesn't want to deal with you. He doesn't want to, the chance.
It's over.
Okay. So we're watching a reality show. No one's supposed to talk. Giselle's late. Karen is late, and then Giselle's mad because Karen didn't talk to her. Well, Giselle didn't run over and talk to Karen either. This to me seems like 1,000% even thing. I don't get this whole, and it happens on every reality show, every single Real Housewives. So-and-so came in and didn't say hi to me. Well, you didn't say hi to her. You know? But apparently they showed up before Robin did. I don't get with all these people. My brother showed up late to our wedding, and we had to hold up the wedding in order for him, because my mom's like, it's so important. I don't think he wanted to come. I don't blame him. Weddings are one of those things that, like, I feel like you do because it's polite. I don't know. This is maybe outing me too much as an introvert. So then we have Candace's dad, stepdad, blah, blah, blah. I'm surprised Ashley's husband, Michael, is still on the show. I thought that last week thing where they show about him having the felony assault was their way of explaining why he wasn't going to be here. I thought he grabbed a cameraman's butt, and I would assume a production would say, we can't have him, our crew is not safe around him, and they would say...
Maybe that's next week's episode.
Yeah, I don't really understand the timeline, because I'm not understanding the timeline at all of when this all happens, and I don't care enough to go look it up, to start Googling. So he's still on the show, Robin's super late, Ashley got drunk, and people, they're kind of weird because they act like... And that was the whole thing about, Monique is mad at Ashley for saying the thing about the martinis. Once again, we're not supposed to talk. I mean, I'm not saying that you should be free for all, but I'm a little bit like, really? Because I noticed the same thing, that she was drinking a lot of martinis. And martinis are not like one drink. A martini is like 3 straight ounces of gin. So one martini is like a drink and a half, 2 drinks. I mean, I remember when I was, 21 and I got martini glasses and me and my friends sat down to have a martini, we were all like, holy crap, why do people pretend like martinis are classy? They're just straight, they're like, realistically, you might as well just grab a bottle of gin and just, like, it is not a classy drink. It's just, it's gin, and the proper way to do it is you put the vermouth in the glass, you swirl it around, pour it out, and then pour the gin in. I mean, have you not had, it's just gin. And you either spritz a little bit of vermouth, that's a very dry martini, has very little vermouth in it. Sometimes the joke is you put the bottle of vermouth next to the gin. Sometimes they say you put a picture of the guy who invented vermouth next to your martini, and that's the driest version of a martini. It's just straight, and maybe you have an olive in there. It's just gin. It's just straight up gin. Unless you have a vodka martini, in the case it's just straight up vodka. Anyway, Ashley got drunk. They're always really judgy about that. And they're also really judgy about, oh, she's supposed to be getting pregnant, and but she's drinking. Well, I feel like we need a basic lesson. But secondly, if like she's on her period, she knows she's not pregnant that month. If she's had her period, but it's not day 14, counting from the first day of her last period, she knows that she doesn't even have an egg in her body. It's probably not the best to do, but it's not like she's doing cocaine. It's also...
I do cocaine.
Also, we don't know, she might be doing a round of... Sometimes you do 1 round of birth control, and then you stop, and it makes your body produce more eggs. You're most fertile that first month. I don't know. All I'm saying is there's a lot of judging. I think, though, the judging comes later on in the season. I saw it in the preview. But I'm a little bit like, unless we're going to get into her whole...
This is why we have our judging mascot.
Yeah,
he's been silently judging you
Pocket.
this whole time.
I don't even know if he's in the scene. I hope so. Otherwise, it's going to look weird, like you're holding your crotch. That's Pocket, and he's our head judger in the house. Anyway, I just wrote Janelle's such a snake. I think she's beautiful. I actually like her when she's not being super mean to everyone else. And I think she's just mean and then is like, oh, it was a joke. No one can take a joke. And it's like, that's like when your friend punches you in the face and then they're like, oh, that was a prank. And you're like, it wasn't a prank. I had never had that happen. But you see it on like YouTube where they have funny pranks and they're just really mean and sometimes abusive. And then they're like, oh, it was a joke. Anyway, and then at the wedding, so first of all, they make fun of his vows. He said on Twitter that he had more vows and they cut him and they just did the ones. Not everybody can be a writer. It's kind of weird that all of a sudden, like, you get married and you're supposed to be this amazing writer. Guy did the best he could. Apparently that was the best he could do. Apparently there was more. They were all, like, titles of R&B songs. Maybe it's something special they shared. I would also, and I think it's supposed to be kind of funny because he's white and they're black bands, but then on the other hand, you go, yes, but in a perfect society, we would all hold up art for the standards, and you would, instead of saying that, anyway. But also maybe he's just not very good at writing and not very creative. But then,
Just like she's not very good at singing.
well, I was going to say that. I was facing the other way. I was taking care of, hanging out with my son, doing all this stuff. And all of a sudden someone started singing and I was like, oh man, they are terrible. And I turned around and it was her. To me, it was the case of bad judgment over bad instrument. She would be a good singer, but I don't know that I think she made some poor choices on how to sing that song, or maybe it was her voice. Maybe someone with a better ear, I don't have a particularly great music ear, would be able to tell me why it was so bad. I think it was just bad. But it's her wedding. I mean, it's a wedding. She wants to sing. I'd want to write something. It also might be terrible. So anyway, there you go. Thank you so much.